How are you guys doing? Today is Thursday, May 12th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review yesterday's Elite matchups and performances from Wednesday, May 11th, and of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on today as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. Taking a quick step back and looking at where we are in the calendar year, there are still 8 teams that are left competing for the NBA title at this very moment, as every single series is 3-2, with 4 different teams facing elimination as we enter today's matchups. In the Stanley Cup, there are 15 teams that are left competing after no one was able to win their series yesterday, but every single series has one team up against the ropes at this point as each series enters their Game 6. Taking a look at what's going on with the MLB, naturally, of course, the MLB is getting its season underway as we are in about the second month of the season that's going to go all the way into the very beginning of October. Taking a look at what's going on with soccer, we are seeing the end of domestic European League seasons as teams are starting to sort themselves out and trying to see if they qualify for continent-wide international competition. With that said, I'm going to take a look at the NBA playoff games from yesterday. The first of those two was Game 5 of the 2-3 matchup in the Eastern Conference as the 2-seed Boston Celtics hosted the 3-seed defending NBA champs Milwaukee Bucks. Coming into this matchup, the series was tied at 2 after the Celtics had beat the Bucks in Milwaukee by 8, and in Boston, the Bucks would go on to beat the Celtics 110-107 as the Bucks move one win away from the Eastern Conference Finals. They won this game 110-107. The big difference here would be the fourth quarter where they outscored the Celtics by 12 after they came into the quarter trailing by 9. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown 2-seed Boston Celtics were led in scoring by their elite starting small forward Jason Tatum. He finished with 34 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists in 42 minutes. He shot 12 for 29 from the field, 2 for 11 from 3, and 8 for 9 from the free throw line. Their starting shooting guard, Jaylen Brown, will go on to finish with 26 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists in 35 minutes. He shot 9 for 19 from the field. He will go on to shoot 3 for 7 from 3, and he made 5 of his 6 free throws on the night. Their starting point guard and the defensive player of the year this year, Marcus Smart, finished with 15 points and 2 steals in 38 minutes. And then their center off the bench, Daniel Theis, finished with 11 points in 11 minutes. On the winning end of this matchup, the defending champs, the 3-seed Milwaukee Bucks, with only 8 players, will be led in scoring by their elite starting power forward, the former back-to-back regular season MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, will go on to finish with 40 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, and 7 turnovers in 40 minutes. He shot 16 for 27 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and he shot 6 for 10 from the free throw line. Their starting point guard, Jrue Holiday, finished with 24 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 blocks in 41 minutes. He shot 9 for 24 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and he made both of his free throws on the night. Their center off the bench, Bobby Portis, finished with 14 points and 15 rebounds in 28 minutes. He shot 4 for 14 from the field and made all 6 of his free throws. Their shooting guard off the bench, Pat Connaughton, at 13 points in 31 minutes. With this win, the 3-seed Bucks now hold a 3-2 series lead over the 2nd-seed Boston Celtics, as the seed they have, of course, corresponds to the amount of wins they have in the series, just like the other series, but I'll get into that in a bit. With this win, the Milwaukee Bucks are 1 win away from making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they get a chance to play either the Miami Heat or the Philadelphia 76ers. On the losing end of this matchup, because the Celtics are trailing 2-3, they have to win games 6 and 7 if they want to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Game 6 is set to be in Milwaukee tomorrow on ESPN, so of course, good luck to both teams. And then looking at the second game from last night, it was the 2-3 matchup in the West as the 2-seed Memphis Grizzlies hosted the 3-seed Golden State Warriors. The Warriors came into this matchup leading the series 3-1 after they had won both of their games at home. And in this matchup, with their backs against the wall, the Grizzlies would go on to beat the Warriors 134-95 as they still remain alive. They would go on to win this game by 39 after they outscored the Warriors by 10 in the first quarter. They would go on to outscore the Warriors by 17 in the second quarter. They were up by 27 at the half. They went on to outscore the Warriors by 25 in the third quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the 3-seed Golden State Warriors were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard Klay Thompson. He finished with 19 points in 25 minutes alongside 3 rebounds as he shot 7 for 12 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and he made both of his free throws on the night. Their starting power forward, Jonathan Kuminga, finished with 17 points in 24 minutes. Their goated starting point guard, Stephen Curry, finished with 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists in 25 minutes. He shot 4 for 10 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and he shot 3 for 4 from the free throw line. Their shooting guard off the bench, Damian Lee, finished with 10 points in 24 minutes. Their shooting guard off the bench, Moses Moody, out of Arkansas, went on to finish with 10 points in 17 minutes. Their all-star starting small forward out of Kansas, Andrew Wiggins, finished with 5 points in 19 minutes. And then their all-star power forward, Draymond Green, would go on to finish with 5 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 turnovers in 22 minutes. Draymond shot 2 for 4 from the field and made one of his 2 free throws. On the winning end of this matchup, the 2-seed Memphis Grizzlies were led in scoring by their starting point guard, Tre Jones, their starting shooting guard, Desmond Bane, and their starting power forward, Jaren Jackson Jr. Tyus Jones out of Duke will go on to finish with 21 points and 9 assists alongside 2 steals in 24 minutes. He shot 8 for 12 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and he made his only free throw. Jaren Jackson Jr. at 21 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 25 minutes. He shot 6 for 10 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and he made 5 of his 6 free throws. Desmond Bane had 21 points in 24 minutes. He shot 6 for 12 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and he made all 5 of his free throws on the night. Their starting small forward, Dillon Brooks, out of Oregon, had 12 points in 24 minutes. Their power forward off the bench, Brandon Clark, had 11 points and 7 rebounds in 14 minutes. Their shooting guard off the bench, Zaire Williams, had 11 points in 23 minutes. Their shooting guard off the bench, DeAnthony Melton, had 10 points and 2 steals in 24 minutes. With this win, the 2-seed Memphis Grizzlies are still trailing the series 3-2 to the Golden State Warriors as they are still facing elimination. They have to win the next 2 games if they want to make it to the next round, as the next game will be in San Francisco tomorrow on ESPN. With this loss, the Golden State Warriors still lead this series 3-2. They have to win either Game 6 at home or Game 7 on the road if they want to advance to the Western Conference Finals, if they want a chance to face off against either the Phoenix Suns or the Dallas Mavericks. With that said, taking a look at what is going on today in playoff basketball, as all teams have now played 5 games in the second round. At 7 o'clock on ESPN today in Wells Fargo Center, we're going to see Game 6 of the Eastern Conference semifinals in Philly, as the 4-seed 76ers are going to host the top-seed Miami Heat. Miami currently leads this series 3-2 after they were able to win Game 5 in Miami by 35 points. Miami has to win either Game 6 or Game 7 to advance. The Sixers have to win both games to advance. The winner of this matchup faces off against either Boston or Milwaukee. Taking a look at the other game today at 9:30 on ESPN at American Airlines Center, the 4-seed Dallas Mavericks are facing elimination as they host the top-seed Phoenix Suns. The Suns lead this series 3-2 after they were able to win Game 5 by 30 at home. So the Mavericks have to win Game 6 and Game 7 if they want to advance. The Suns have to win either Game 6 or Game 7 if they want to advance. The winner of this series plays against either the Memphis Grizzlies or the Golden State Warriors, as all 8 teams that have made it into this round are still competing in going into the next round, or they're still competing in going into today's matchups. Taking a look at what's going on in the Stanley Cup playoffs, the first of the Game 5s from yesterday would take place in Madison Square Garden as the New York Rangers would host the Pittsburgh Penguins. Coming into this matchup, the Penguins led the series 3-1 as the Rangers were facing elimination after the Penguins won Games 3 and 4 at home. The Rangers would end up winning Game 5, 5-3, as they are still alive in this playoff bracket. They would go on to see the Penguins take a 2-0 lead. They would take the lead in the third off of a goal from Jacob Trouba. Penguins would tie it up with Jake Winsel going into the third period. It was tied at 3. The Rangers would score 2 unanswered from Philip Chytil and Ryan Lindgren to win them the game. The top star in the game was Philip Cheidel, New York's center, as he had a goal for himself. Alexis Lafreniere, New York's left winger, was the second star of the game as he had a goal and an assist for himself. And then New York's defender Ryan Lindgren would finish with a goal as he was the game's third star. With this win, the New York Rangers, who entered this matchup as the 2 seed in the Metropolitan Division, are now trailing the 3 seed Pittsburgh Penguins 3-2 in the series. The New York Rangers have to win Game 6 and Game 7 if they want to advance. Game 6 is going to be held tomorrow in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has to win either Game 6 or Game 7 to make it to the next round. Whoever wins this round will face off against either the Carolina Hurricanes or the Boston Bruins in the next round. The Hurricanes currently lead that series 3-2. Taking a look at the second playoff game that took place yesterday, it took place in Florida, in Sunrise, Florida, as the top seed out of the Atlantic Division. The Florida Panthers hosted the second Eastern Conference wildcard seed, the Washington Capitals. The series was tied at 2 coming into Game 5 after the Panthers were able to even up the series in Washington in overtime. In Game 5, the Panthers would take their first series lead after they won this game 5-3. This game would be like the last one, as it would go into the third period tied at 3 after the Washington Nationals scored the first 3 goals of the game. The Florida Panthers would go on to score 5 unanswered to come from behind. They would tie it by the end of the second period, and then they would score 2 unanswered in the third period. Of course, the top star of this game went to Florida's left winger Carter Verhaeghe. He would go on to finish with 2 goals and 3 assists on the night. Their second star went to their Florida center Alexander Barkov, as he would go on to finish with 2 assists. Florida's goalie Sergei Bobrovsky finished with 30 saves on the night as he was the third star. He only allowed 3 goals, and he was pretty much he was airtight for the second half of the game after Washington scored their first 3. With this win, the top seed in the Atlantic with the Florida Panthers are now holding a 3-2 series lead over the Washington Capitals. Game 6 is going to be held in Washington, D.C. tomorrow on TBS. The Florida Panthers, with this win, have to win either Game 6 or Game 7 to advance to the second round. The Washington Capitals have to win Game 6 and Game 7 if they want to make it through. The winner of this matchup faces off against either the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Tampa Bay Lightning. Toronto currently leads that series 3-2. Taking a look at the third matchup that's going on today, or that happened yesterday, as it took place in Calgary. The top seed in the Pacific Division, the Calgary Flames, would go on to host the Dallas Stars, who came in as the top wildcard seed in the West. This matchup was originally tied at 2 coming into this matchup after Calgary had to even up the series in Dallas with a 3-goal win in Game 4. In Game 5, Calgary would end up beating Dallas 3-1 in order to take this series lead very late. Dallas would score the first goal of this game in the second period. Going into the third period, they were up 1-0. Calgary would go on to score 3 unanswered goals in the third period to come from behind and pick up a very big playoff win, one that very well could have saved their season. The top star of the game was Calgary's center, Michael Backlund, as he had a goal and an assist. Second star of the game went to Calgary's left winger, Andrew Mangiapane. He would go on to finish with a goal and an assist. And then Calgary's goalie, Jacob Markstrom, was the third star of the game. He had 20 saves, only allowing 1 on the night. Only allowing 1 goal. And with this win, the Calgary Flames now lead this series 3-2, as Game 6 will be held in Dallas tomorrow on TNT. With this win, Calgary has to win either Game 6 or Game 7 to advance to the second round, and the Dallas Stars have to win Game 6 and Game 7 if they want to make it through. The winner of this series faces off against either the Edmonton Oilers or the LA Kings. Currently, the Kings are leading that series 3-2. So now that we are up until this point, there are 15 teams that are still competing and eligible for a Stanley Cup title. The only team that's been eliminated so far have been the Nashville Predators, as they were swept by the Avalanche. But taking a look at what's going on today with a bunch of Game 6s at 7 o'clock on TNT and TD Garden, the Boston Bruins, who came into this series as the top Eastern Conference wildcard seed, are set to host the Carolina Hurricanes, as the Hurricanes come in as the top seed in the Metropolitan Division. This series is currently in Carolina's favor after Carolina was able to win Game 5 by 4 goals. Carolina has to win either Game 6 or Game 7 to win. As the Bruins are facing elimination, they have to win Game 6 and Game 7 if they want to make it through. The winner of this series faces off against either the New York Rangers or the Pittsburgh Penguins. As like I said earlier, the Penguins lead that series 3-2. Taking a look at the second matchup that's going on today on TBS in Tampa Bay, the defending back-to-back Stanley Cup champs, Tampa Bay Lightning, are facing elimination as they host the 2 seed in that division, the Atlantic Division, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Right now, the Maple Leafs lead this series 3-2 after they were able to win Game 5 by a goal. With this advantage, the Maple Leafs have to win either Game 6 or Game 7 in order to make it to the next round. Facing elimination, the Lightning have to win Game 6 and Game 7 if they want to make it through. The winner of this matchup faces off against either the Florida Panthers or the Washington Capitals, as the Florida Panthers currently lead that series 3-2. Taking a look at the third game that's going to be taking place today, the St. Louis Blues, who came into this matchup as the 3 seed in the Central, are set to host the 2 seed Minnesota Wild. The Blues currently lead this series 3-2 after they were able to win games 4 and 5-2 in both of those games. With this series lead, the Blues have to win either Game 6 or Game 7, and they actually have the home ice advantage for this game. With the Wild facing elimination, the Wild have to win Game 6 and Game 7 to make it through. The winner of this matchup will face off against the Colorado Avalanche, as the Avalanche are the only team that's made it through so far. And then taking a look at the last game that's going to be taking place today. In Los Angeles, in the Crypto.com Arena, the 3 seed in the Pacific Division, the LA Kings, are set to host the 2 seed Edmonton Oilers. The Kings are currently leading this series 3-2 after they were able to win Game 4 at home, and they were able to win Game 5 in Canada in overtime. With this series lead, the Kings have to win either Game 6 or Game 7 to make it into the next round. And with the Oilers facing elimination, the Oilers have to win Game 6 and Game 7 if they want to make it through. The winner of this matchup will face off against the winner between the Calgary Flames and the Dallas Stars. The Calgary Flames are currently leading that series 3-2. As of right now, every Stanley Cup series that is still going on right now has one team facing elimination, as that's what happens when you enter a Game 6. So we are more than likely probably going to see teams get eliminated, but of course don't expect it, because all these games could, of course, go to Game 7. So that's what the Stanley Cup playoffs are looking like as of today, as there are still 15 teams left competing. Taking a look at what happened in the MLB, starting off in Pittsburgh. The Pirates would go on to host the LA Dodgers. After the Dodgers would tie the game up in the top of the 7th off of an Edwin Rios base-clearing double, Daniel Vogelbach would end up hitting a solo home run in the bottom of the 7th. And then after Ben Gamel's fielder's choice, the Pirates would end up beating the Dodgers 5-3 yesterday. On the losing end of this matchup, the Dodgers were led out by their starting pitcher for the day, Ryan Pepiot. Pepiot would allow no earned runs and only 1 hit in 3 innings. He would strike out 3 batters and walk 5. The loss would go to the Dodgers setup relief pitcher Daniel Hudson. Daniel Hudson would allow 1 earned run off of 3 hits in the 7th inning. He would strike out a batter, and with this loss, the Dodgers are now 1-2. With this loss, Hudson is now 1-2 for the Dodgers. In the Dodgers batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit. This would be attributed to really good pitching from the Pittsburgh Pirates. The start was given to their starting pitcher for the day, Dylan Peters, as Peters would allow no earned runs off of 2 hits in 3 innings pitched. Peters would strike out 2 batters. The win would go to the Pirates setup relief pitcher Wil Crowe. Crowe allowed no earned runs and no hits in .2 innings pitched, as he would go on to finish off the 7th inning. He would strike out a batter and walk 2. With this win, Wil Crowe is 2-2. The save would end up going to the Pirates closer for the day. David Bednar would allow no earned runs in the last 2 innings of the game as he struck out 3. He would pick up his 5th save of the season. In the Pirates batting lineup, their designated hitter, Daniel Vogelbach, would end up going 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. He hit his 5th home run of the year to, of course, help the Pirates out. Their right fielder in this matchup, Jack Sawinski, would go 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run, as he would hit his 2nd home run of the year. And then the Pirates' second baseman, Josh Van Meter, would go 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He would hit his 2nd home run of the season. With this win, the Pittsburgh Pirates are now 13-17. That is the third best record in the National League Central. They've won 5 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 6 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers right now. With this loss, the LA Dodgers are 20-9. That is the best record in the National League West, as that is still the best record in the National League as a whole. As of right now, the Yankees still have a better record than the Dodgers. They're the only team that does. The Dodgers have only lost 3 of their last 10 games. They are sitting a game and a half ahead of the second place San Diego Padres in their division. Taking a look at what happened in the Bronx, the New York Yankees were able to beat the Blue Jays 5-3, as the Blue Jays took the very first lead of the game as they scored in the first inning off of a ground out from Teoscar Hernandez. The Yankees would eventually take the lead off of a 3-run home run from Gleyber Torres, and the Blue Jays would not retake the lead after that. On the losing end of this matchup, the Yankees won it 5-3 if I didn't mention what the score was. On the losing end of this matchup, the Blue Jays would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Jose Barrios. Barrios allowed 5 earned runs off of 5 hits in the 5.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and walk 1. With this loss, Barrios is 2-2. In the Blue Jays batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Bo Bichette, went 3 for 5, and then their catcher, Alejandro Kirk, would end up going 2 for 4. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown New York Yankees saw the win go to their starting pitcher, Jameson Taillon. Taillon allowed 2 earned runs off of 6 hits in the 5.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and walk 1. With this win, Jameson Taillon is 3-1. The save would end up going to the Yankees closer, Aroldis Chapman. Chapman allowed 1 run off of 1 hit in the 9th inning as he would strike out a batter and even walk 1. He picked up his 8th save of the year. In the Yankees batting lineup, their elite third baseman, DJ LeMahieu, went 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Their elite second baseman, Gleyber Torres, would go 2 for 4 with 5 RBIs and a run. He had all 5 of the team's RBIs, by the way. With this win, the New York Yankees are now 22-8. That is the best record in the American League East, and that is the best record in all of the majors. They've now won their last 3 games, and they've won 8 of their last 10. They are now sitting 4 games ahead of the second place Tampa Bay Rays in their division. Taking a look at where the Blue Jays are after this loss, they are now 17-15. That is the 3rd best record in the American League East. They have now lost their last 4 games. The Blue Jays' 4-game losing streak is the longest active losing streak in the American League. It is tied with the Colorado Rockies for the longest active losing streak in baseball right now. The Blue Jays have lost 7 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 6 games behind the division-leading New York Yankees. Taking a look at what happened in Cincinnati, the Reds hosted the Brewers, and they would go on to win this game 14-11 in what will be an all-out slugfest. Even though the Brewers scored 11 runs in this game, they would not take a single lead at all, as Cincinnati would score 14 runs all the way back when the Brewers had 5. The Brewers did score the last 6 runs of the game, but on the losing end of this matchup, they would go on to be led out by their starting pitcher, Adrian Hauser. Hauser picked up his 3rd loss of the year. He allowed 7 runs off of 6 hits in 4 innings pitched. He would strike out 3 batters and walk 4. With this loss, Adrian Hauser is 3-3. In the Brewers batting lineup, their second baseman, Colton Wong, went 2 for 4 with a run. Their elite designated hitter and former MVP, Christian Yelich, would end up going 4 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs, as Christian Yelich would go on to hit for the cycle. He would go on to hit his 8th double of the season, his 3rd triple, and his 5th home run of the year. Their right fielder, Hunter Renfroe, went 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs, as he hit his 7th and 8th home runs of the year. And then the Brewers catcher, Omar Narvaez, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Cincinnati Reds were led out by their starting pitcher, Vladimir Gutierrez. He allowed 4 earned runs off of 6 hits in 4.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 6 batters and walk 2. The win would go to the Reds' first relief pitcher on the day, Alexis Diaz. Alexis Diaz would allow no earned runs in 1.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 2 batters and walk 1 as he finished the 5th inning and pitched the entire 6th. With this win, Diaz is 1-0. In the Reds batting lineup, their center fielder in this matchup, TJ Friedl, would end up going 3 for 4 with 3 runs. Their left fielder, Tommy Pham, went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. Their designated hitter, Tyler Stevenson, went 3 for 5 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs. Their first baseman, Colin Moran, went 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 3 runs as he hit his 4th home run of the year. And then their right fielder, Tyler Naquin, went 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. With this win, the Cincinnati Reds are now 7-24. That is the worst record in the National League Central. It is also the worst record in the National League. They're holding the worst record in all of baseball, but as at the moment, they've won 4 of their last 10. They are sitting 12 and a half games behind the Milwaukee Brewers, who are currently leading the NL Central. At this moment, they are one of 2 teams left in the MLB that have a single-digit amount of wins. The other team is the Tigers, and the Tigers have 9 wins at this moment. With this loss, the Milwaukee Brewers are 20-12. That is the best record in the National League Central still. They are tied with the San Diego Padres for the 3rd best record in the National League. They've lost 5 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 2 games ahead of the second-place St. Louis Cardinals in their own division. Taking a look at what happened in Seattle, the Mariners went on to host the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies would go on to beat the Mariners 4-2 as all 4 of their runs were scored in the 4th inning off of a grand slam from their infielder Rhys Hoskins. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Seattle Mariners saw the loss go to their starting pitcher Logan Gilbert. Gilbert allowed 4 earned runs off 3 hits in the 5 innings he pitched. He would strike out 9 batters and walk 3. With this loss, Logan Gilbert is 4-1. In the Mariners batting lineup, their second baseman and former All-Star Adam Frazier went 2 for 4 with a run. Their first baseman Ty France went 2 for 4 with an RBI. And then their shortstop J.P. Crawford would end up going 2 for 4 on the night. On the winning end of this matchup, the Philadelphia Phillies would see the start go to Bailey Falter. Falter would allow 1 earned run off of 5 hits in the 4.2 innings he pitched. He would strike out 4. The win for the Phillies would go to their first relief pitcher, Seranthony Dominguez. Seranthony would allow no earned runs and only 1 hit as he finished off the 5th and pitched the entire 6th inning. He would go on to strike out 2 batters. With this win, he's now 2-1. The save would end up going to the Phillies closer, Corey Knebel. Knebel would allow no earned runs as he finished off the 8th and pitched the entire 9th as he would strike out 2 batters. He picked up his 6th save of the year. In the Phillies batting lineup, their third baseman, Alec Bohm, went 2 for 4 with a run. Their first baseman, Rhys Hoskins, went 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs and a run. He would go on to hit his 5th home run of the year. With this win, the Philadelphia Phillies are 14-17. They are tied with the Miami Marlins for the 3rd best record in the National League East. The Phillies have now won 4 of their last 10 games, and they are currently trailing the New York Mets by 6.5 games in the division. With this loss, the Seattle Mariners are 14-18. That is the 3rd best record in the American League West, as they've lost 8 of their last 10. They are sitting 6.5 games behind the division-leading Los Angeles Angels at this moment. Taking a look at what happened in Phoenix, the Arizona Diamondbacks went on to host the Miami Marlins. The Marlins were able to beat the Diamondbacks 11-3. The score was tied at 3 going into the top of the 9th, as the Marlins would score 8 unanswered in the inning. They would see a 3-run home run hit by Jazz Chisholm and 1 hit by Avisail Garcia in that inning, just to give you a sense of how they scored 8 in 1 inning. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Arizona Diamondbacks were led out by Merrill Kelly. Kelly allowed 3 earned runs off 7 hits in the 5 innings he pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and walk 2. The loss would go to the Diamondbacks setup relief pitcher Mark Melancon. He would start the 9th but not finish it, as he allowed 4 earned runs off of 3 hits. He would walk a batter. With this loss, he's now 0-4. In the Diamondbacks batting lineup, nobody on their team would go on to finish. Or actually, no, their center fielder in this matchup had more than 1 hit, as Alek Thomas would go 2 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs. He would go on to hit his first home run of the season. On the winning end of this matchup, the Miami Marlins were led out by their starting pitcher, Sandy Alcantara. Alcantara would allow 1 earned run off of 2 hits in the 7 innings he pitched. He would strike out 6 batters and then walk 3. The win will go to the appropriately named Anthony Bass, the setup relief pitcher for the Marlins, as he allowed no earned runs as he finished off the 8th inning. With this win, Bass is 1-1. In the Marlins batting lineup, their first baseman, Garrett Cooper, would end up going 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Their third baseman, Joey Wendell, went 2 for 2 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his second home run of the year. Their right fielder, Avisail Garcia, went 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his second home run of the year. Their left fielder, Brian De La Cruz, went 2 for 4 with a run. And then their catcher in this matchup, Jacob Stallings, would end up going 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. With this win, the Miami Marlins are now 14-17. They are tied with the Philadelphia Phillies for the third best record in the NL East. They've won 2 of their last 10 games, and they are sitting 6.5 games behind the division-leading New York Mets. With this loss, the Arizona Diamondbacks are 17-15. That is the 4th best record in the National League West. They've only lost 3 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 4.5 games behind the division-leading Los Angeles Dodgers. Taking a look at what happened in San Francisco, the Giants would go on to host the Colorado Rockies. The Giants would go on to win it 7-1. They would go on to score 5 unanswered to start the game in the 4th and 5th innings. It was started off, of course, by a Brandon Crawford fielder's choice. On the losing end of this matchup, the Colorado Rockies would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Chad Kuhl. Chad Kuhl would allow 5 earned runs off of 7 hits and 4.2 innings pitched. He struck out 8 batters and walked 3. With this loss, Kuhl is 3-1. In the Rockies batting lineup, nobody on their team finished with more than 1 hit. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown San Francisco Giants saw the win go to their starting pitcher, Alex Cobb. He allowed 1 earned run off of 3 hits and 5.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 6 batters, and then he would go on to walk 2. With this win, he's 2-1. In the Giants batting lineup, their right fielder Lamont Wade Jr. went 3 for 4 with an RBI. Their first baseman Brandon Belt went 2 for 3 with an RBI. Their second baseman Thairo Estrada went 2 for 5 with 2 runs. And with this win, the San Francisco Giants are now 19-12. That is the 3rd best record in the NL West. They have now won their last 5 games. The Giants' 5-game winning streak is the longest active winning streak in the National League right now. The only team in the majors with a longer winning streak than the Giants right now are the Astros. But with this win, the Giants have now won 5 of their last 10. They are sitting 2 games behind the division-leading LA Dodgers at the moment. With this loss, the Colorado Rockies are 16-15. That is the worst record in the NL West. They are holding on to a 4-game losing streak. Their 4-game losing streak is the longest active losing streak in the National League. They are tied currently with the Toronto Blue Jays for the longest active losing streak in the majors. The Rockies have lost 6 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 5 games behind the division-leading LA Dodgers. Taking a look at what happened in San Diego and SoCal, the Padres went on to host the Cubs. The Cubs are going to beat the Padres 7-5. The Padres took a 2-1 lead in the bottom of the 7th, but the Cubs would take a lead right back with a RBI double from Frank Schwindel after Patrick Wisdom tied the game on an RBI single. The Padres would tie it up in the bottom of the 7th, but then it would be a 2-run single from Alfonso Rivas to give the Cubs the win. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown San Diego Padres would be led out by their starting pitcher, Nick Martinez. He would allow 5 earned runs off of 4 hits and 4 innings pitched. He struck out 8 batters and walked 2. The loss would go to the Padres setup relief pitcher, Luis Garcia. He went on to allow 2 earned runs off of 3 hits in the 8th inning, and he would go on to walk a batter. With this loss, he's 0-2. In the Padres batting lineup, their left fielder, Jurickson Profar, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run. Their elite third baseman, Manny Machado, went 2 for 4. Their first baseman, Eric Hosmer, went 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their designated hitter, Luke Voit, would end up going 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 3 runs. He had his first 2 home runs of the year. On the winning end of this matchup, the Chicago Cubs will go on to be led out by their starting pitcher, Keegan Thompson. Keegan Thompson went on to allow 2 earned runs off of 5 hits and 4 innings pitched. He struck out a batter and walked 2. The win was given to the Cubs setup relief pitcher, Michael Givens. Givens would allow 2 earned runs off of 2 hits as he would pitch the 7th inning, as he would strike out 2 batters. He picked up his second blown save of the year. However, with this win, he's now 2-0. The save would end up going to the Cubs closer, Rowan Wick. Rowan Wick would go on to allow no earned runs in the 8th and ninth innings. He would go on to strike out 2 batters, and with this save, he now has 2 on the year. In the Cubs batting lineup, their right fielder, Rafael Ortega, went 2 for 5. Their catcher, Wilson Contreras, went 2 for 3 with an RBI and 3 runs as he hit his 4th home run of the year. Their third baseman, Patrick Wisdom, went 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run as well. With this win, the Chicago Cubs are now 11-19. That is the 4th best record in the National League Central, as they have now won 3 of their last 10 games. They are currently sitting 8 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers. With this loss, the San Diego Padres are 20-12. That is the 2nd best record in the NL West, as they've lost 4 of their last 10. They are currently sitting a game and a half behind the division-leading LA Dodgers as both teams have 20 wins, but the Padres just have 3 more losses than the Dodgers at this point. Taking a look at what happened in Washington, the Nationals went on to host the Mets, and the Nationals would go on to win it 8-3 as they scored all 8 of their runs in the first 2 innings. After the second inning, no one scored, essentially. But the Mets would go on to score the first 3 runs of the game. So the Nats did score 8 unanswered. They would go on to take the lead off of a Michael Franco sacrifice fly in the first inning. On the losing end of this matchup, the New York Mets would see the loss go to Tyler McGill, their starting pitcher. He allowed 8 earned runs off of 8 hits in 1.1 innings pitched. He would strike out a batter and walk 1, and with this loss, Tyler McGill is 4-2. In the Mets batting lineup, their center fielder, Brandon Nimmo, went 3 for 5 with a run. Their elite designated hitter, Pete Alonso, went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. Pete Alonso hit home run number 8 yesterday. And then their second baseman, Luis Guillorme, would end up going 2 for 4. And on the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Washington Nationals would see the win go to their starting pitcher, Aaron Sanchez. Aaron Sanchez allowed 3 earned runs off of 6 hits in the 5.1 innings he pitched. He would go on to strike out a batter, and with this win, he's 2-2. In the Nationals batting lineup, their second baseman, Cesar Hernandez, went 3 for 4 with 2 runs. Their elite right fielder and former All-MLB player, Juan Soto, went 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their catcher, Keibert Ruiz, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. Their elite designated hitter, Nelson Cruz, went 1 for 3 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs, as Nelson Cruz hit his 4th home run of the season. With this win, the Washington Nationals are now 11-21. That is the worst record in the National League East. They've won 4 of their last 10 games, as they sit 10 games behind the division-leading New York Mets. And they are also holding on to the 2nd worst record in the National League, as only the Reds have a worse record. With this loss, the New York Mets are 21-11. That is the best record in the National League East. They've lost 4 of their last 10 games, as they are currently sitting 6 games ahead of the defending champs Atlanta Braves in their division. At this moment, the Mets are holding the 2nd best record in the National League win percentage-wise, as they are the only team in the National League to hold 21 wins. And taking a look at what's going on in Los Angeles and Anaheim, the AL West leading Anaheim Angels hosted the Tampa Bay Rays. The Rays would end up beating the Angels 10-2. The Angels ended up tying the game in the bottom of the 8th off of a 2-run home run from Taylor Ward to send it into extra innings. But in the extra innings, Tampa Bay would see an RBI double from Vidal Brujan and a RBI single from Harold Ramirez, give them a 4-2 win. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown LA Angels would be led out by their elite starting pitcher, last year's MVP, Shohei Ohtani, out of Japan. Ohtani would allow 1 earned run off of 2 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched. He would go on to strike out 5, and he would walk 2. The loss would go to the Angels' closer, Aaron Loup. Aaron Loup would allow 2 runs in the 10th inning as he would strike out 2, and with this loss, he's 0-2. In the Angels batting lineup, nobody on their team would go on to finish with more than 1 hit, as Taylor Ward hit his 7th home run of the season as a pinch hitter. On the winning end of this matchup, the Tampa Bay Rays were led out by their starting pitcher, Shane McClanahan. Shane McClanahan would allow no earned runs off of 3 hits in the 7 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 11 batters and then walk 1. The win was given to the Rays' setup relief pitcher, J.P. Feyereisen. Feyereisen allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he would strike out a batter. The save would end up going to the Rays' closer, Brooks Raley. Raley allowed no earned runs in the 10th inning as he struck out a batter and walked 1. In the Braves batting lineup, no one on their team would finish with more than one hit, as their center fielder Kevin Kiermaier hit his third home run of the season. With this win, the Tampa Bay Rays are 19-13. That is the second best record in the American League East, the fifth best record in the American League. They've now won 7 of their last 10 games. They are now sitting 4 games behind the division-leading New York Yankees. And then, of course, with this loss, the LA Angels are 21-12. That is the best record in the American League West. They've lost 4 of their last 10 games. They are still sitting half a game ahead of the second-place Houston Astros, as the Astros have been surging up the leaderboard. However, the Angels are still holding on to the second-best record in the American League. Only the Yankees have a better record than them in that standing. And taking a look at what happened in Detroit, the Tigers went on to host the Oakland Athletics, as the A's would shut the Tigers out. They would win it 9-0. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Detroit Tigers would see the loss go to their starting pitcher. Their starting pitcher for the day was Joey Wentz. Wentz would go on to allow 6 earned runs off of 7 hits in 2.2 innings pitched. Wentz would strike out 1 and then walk 2 before he was pulled in the 3rd inning. With this loss, he's 1-1. In the Tigers batting lineup, their future Hall of Famer designated hitter Miguel Cabrera will go 3 for 4, and then their center fielder in this matchup, Derek Hill, would end up going 2 for 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the Oakland Athletics saw the win go to their starting pitcher, Zach Logue. Logue would allow no earned runs off of 5 hits in the 7 innings he pitched. He would strike out 6 batters, and then he walked 5. With this win, he's now 2-1. In the A's batting lineup, their first baseman in this matchup, Christian Bethancourt, would end up going 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. And then their shortstop, Elvis Andrus, went 2 for 3 with a run. With this win, the Oakland Athletics are 13-19. That is the worst record in the American League American League West win percentage-wise. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 3 of their last 10. The Oakland A's are sitting 7.5 games behind the division-leading LA Angels at this moment. And then with this loss, the Detroit Tigers are 9-22. That is the worst record in the American League Central, as they are the only team in the American League who still has a single-digit amount of wins. They've now lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 8 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 9.5 games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins at this moment. The only team with a worse record than the Tigers in the whole MLB is the Cincinnati Reds, who aren't that far away. I want to say 1 state away, maybe 2. But taking a look now at what happened, taking a look at what took place in Atlanta, the defending World Series champs, Atlanta Braves, hosted the Boston Red Sox. The Braves are going to beat the Red Sox 5-3 in the bottom of the 9th inning off of a walk-off 2-run home run from Orlando Arcia after the Red Sox had scored the first 3 runs of the game. On the losing end of this matchup, the Red Sox would be led out by Nathan Eovaldi. Eovaldi allowed 3 earned runs off of 6 hits in 6.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 6 batters and walk 1. The loss would end up going to the Red Sox closer, Ryan Brazier. Brazier would allow 2 earned runs as he would start off the 9th inning, and with this loss, he's 0-1. In the Red Sox batting lineup, their elite designated hitter, J.D. Martinez, went 2 for 4 with an RBI, and then their elite second baseman, Trevor Story, would go 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run, as Trevor Story would go on to hit his first home run for the Red Sox. I think this is his first home run for the Red Sox. And on the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Atlanta Braves would be led out by their starting pitcher, Ian Anderson. Anderson allowed 3 earned runs off of 7 hits in the 5.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and walk 1. The win would end up going to the Braves' closer for the day, Kenley Jansen. Jansen would allow no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out 2 and walked 1. This is Jansen's first win of the year and his first decision for Atlanta. He's now 1-0 for the defending champs this year. In the Braves' batting lineup, their designated hitter, Orlando Arcia, went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He had his first home run of the season. With this win, the Atlanta Braves are now 15-17. That is the second best record in the National League East and would be the worst record in the National League West. But right now, they have now won 5 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 6 games behind the division-leading New York Mets at this moment. With this loss, the Boston Red Sox are 11-20. That is the worst record in the American League East. They have now lost 8 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 11.5 games behind the division leading New York Yankees. And this is the Red Sox team that made it to the ALCS last year. Taking a look now at what happened in St. Louis, the Cardinals hosted the Baltimore Orioles, and in this battle of the birds, the Cardinals would beat the Orioles 10-1, not giving the Orioles a single chance at a lead. On the losing end of this matchup, the Orioles would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Spencer Watkins. Spencer Watkins would allow 7 earned runs off of 8 hits in 3.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 3 batters and he would walk 2, and with this loss, Watkins is 0-1. In the Orioles batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit. That would be attributed to great pitching from St. Louis. The win for the Cardinals went to their starting pitcher, Miles Mikolas. He allowed 1 earned run off of 4 hits in the 7 innings he pitched. He struck out 3 batters and walked 1. With this win, Mikolas is 3-1 on the year. In the Cardinals batting lineup, their elite first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt, went 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a run. Their left fielder in this matchup, Juan Yepez, would end up going 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. And then also for the St. Louis Cardinals, their shortstop, Brendan Donovan, would end up going 2 for 2 with 2 RBIs and 3 runs. Back up to Yepez, he had a second home run of the season, if I didn't mention it earlier. With this win, the St. Louis Cardinals are now 17-13. That is the second best record in the NL Central, as they've won 6 of their last 10. They are now sitting 2 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers. And then with this loss, the Baltimore Orioles are 13-18. That is the 4th best record in the AL East. They've lost 4 of their last 10 games, as they now sit 9.5 games behind the division-leading New York Yankees. Taking a look, last but not least, at what happened in Dallas, the Texas Rangers would go on to host the Kansas City Royals. The Royals would go on to beat the Rangers 8-2, as the Rangers would not really see a sniff of this lead at all in this game. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Rangers were led out by Matt Bush. Bush would allow no earned runs in the first inning as he struck out a batter. The loss would go to the Rangers' first relief pitcher, Colby Allard. Allard would allow 1 earned run off of 2 hits as he pitched the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th innings. He would strike out a batter and even walk 1. With his loss, he's 0-2. In the Rangers batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit, as that would be attributed to great pitching from the Royals. Their elite shortstop, Corey Seager, went 1 for 4 with an RBI and a run as he had his 7th home run of the year. On the winning end of this matchup, the Kansas City Royals were led out by Gabe Spire. Spire would allow no earned runs in the first 2 innings of the game as he struck out a batter. The win would go to the Royals' first relief pitcher, Joel Payamps. Payamps would allow no earned runs off of 2 hits in the 3 innings he pitched. He would strike out 5 batters, and with this win, he's 1-1. In the Royals batting lineup, their elite second baseman, Whit Merrifield, went 3 for 4 with an RBI and 4 runs. He would go on to hit his first home run of the season. With this win, the Kansas City Royals are now 10-18. That is the 4th best record in the AL Central. They've won 3 of their last 10 games, and they've won 7 of their last. They now sit 7 games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins. With this loss, the Texas Rangers are 12-17. That is the 4th best record in the AL West. They've lost 4 of their last 10 games, as they now sit 7 games behind the division-leading Los Angeles Angels. And that is what the MLB is looking like as we are getting into today's matchups. There is 1 suspended game between the Twins and the Astros. It's going to be continuing today, but right after that, the second game of that is going to be at 3:30 as at Target Field, as the Twins are going to host the Astros right there in that particular matchup. Taking a look at what is going on outside of that matchup at 105 in Nationals Park, Joan Adon is going to host Taijuan Walker. At 110, the Tigers are going to host the Oakland Athletics in Comerica Park. And 115, the St. Louis Cardinals are going to host the Baltimore Orioles in Busch Stadium in St. Louis. At 6:35 on ESPN Plus, the Pirates are going to host the Cincinnati Reds, who are holding the worst record in the MLB this year, who've only won 2 games on the road, by the way. At 8:05, The Texas Rangers are going to be hosting the Kansas City Royals in Globe Life Field in Arlington. At 8:10 in Chicago in Guaranteed Rate Field, Vince Velasquez and the Chicago White Sox are set to host the New York Yankees, who hold the best record in baseball. And at 10:10, the team who holds the best record in the National League, the LA Dodgers, are set to host the Philadelphia Phillies in Dodger Stadium, as I believe the Dodgers are the only team in the National League who have a single-digit amount of losses. The only other team with a single-digit amount of losses in baseball this year are the Yankees. So that's what the MLB is looking like as we get into today's Thursday matchups. Taking a look at what happened with soccer yesterday, starting off in England, the top team, Manchester City, was able to beat Wolverhampton 5-1 after they saw 4 goals from their elite Belgian midfielder, Kevin De Bruyne. Their last goal would be a goal from their elite English winger, Raheem Sterling. With this win, Manchester City is currently sitting on top of the Premier League as they sit 3 points ahead of second place Liverpool at the moment with 2 games left in their schedule. That was a very big win for them if they, of course, are looking to finish this season with the Premier League title. And then, of course, Chelsea was able to beat Leeds United 3-0. Their goals would come from Mason Mount in the 4th minute, Christian Pulisic, or also known as Captain America, in the 55th minute, and their third goal will come from their elite Belgian striker Romelu Lukaku in the 83rd minute. With this win, Chelsea is sitting 3rd in the table. They've already clinched a Champions League spot. I believe with this win, or if Tottenham were to lose, technically, but Chelsea did a very good job of securing what they felt like they needed to in order to get through. I believe with either a win here or with a Tottenham draw or loss, Chelsea should qualify for Champions League, but they haven't officially crossed that threshold mathematically yet. Jumping into Spain, Atletico Madrid was able to beat Elche 2-0 as Sevilla ended up drawing with Mallorca. With these matchups ending up the way that they ended up, right now Atletico Madrid is sitting 3rd in Spain as they sit 5 points below second place Barcelona. Sevilla is now sitting 4th in the table with 2 games left in their schedule. With this win, Atletico Madrid is 6 points ahead of Real Betis with 2 games left, so I don't know if they were able to advance on tiebreakers past Real Betis, but they did a really good job of putting themselves in really good position to make a Champions League spot. And with 2 games left, Sevilla is sitting 5 points ahead of Real Betis with either a win in their next game or maybe a draw from Real Betis in either of their games. Sevilla should be the 4th team from Spain to qualify for the Champions League. Taking a look at what happened in Italy and the Italian Coppa Italia, Inter Milan would go on to take home the trophy as they would beat Juventus 4-2. In this matchup, this game would end up going into extras. The first goal scored from Nicolo Barella from Inter. Juve would go on to tie it with a goal from Alexandro in the second half, and then 2 minutes later, they would get a goal from Dusan Vlahovic. Inter would go on to tie it off of a penalty kick from Hakan Calhanoglu in the 80th minute. And then in extra time, they would see a penalty kick from Ivan Perisic give them the lead. And then Ivan Perisic would score 3 minutes later to help Inter go on to pick up their 8th Coppa Italia title over Juventus, the Italian Giants. But that was a very that was quite the win that Inter was able to put on. And that was pretty much what happened yesterday with soccer. And as we continue with what's going on today, starting off in the Premier League is going to be a North London derby as the Tottenham Hotspur, who come into this matchup as the 5th best team in England, are set to host Arsenal, the 4th best team, as both of these teams are fighting for a Champions League spot. Arsenal sits 4 points ahead of Tottenham. So if Tottenham wins, they get closer, but they don't overtake Arsenal for that spot. This is a must-win matchup for both teams as they are both fighting for that last English spot, as it looks as though Chelsea has already taken that 3rd spot under Man City and Liverpool. Jumping to Spain, Real Madrid is going to host Levante as Real Madrid has already won La Liga. Taking a look and I guess outside of that, that's really all that's going on today as we navigate through this world of sports one day at a time. I first want to thank the ESPN, NBA, NHL, MLB, and FIFA sites for giving me all the facts and figures. And I do want to apologize for all the names that I butchered. There's a lot of names, and I do plan on getting better with that. But with that said, I want to thank everyone for listening to this piece. I hope all is well. And once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I'm going to come back tomorrow on Friday, May 13th for another installment. But with that said, thanks for listening to this piece. I hope all is well, and I appreciate your patience. Peace out.